I'm Charlotte Stoll. I'm the children's ministry leader at the church in Twin Falls, Idaho. So an average Sunday typically looks like I get to church and me and my family will go through and make sure all the rooms are prepped for classes. We like make sure there's fresh water and snacks and that kind of stuff. Make sure any supplies that they need for a project are placed out, and make sure the heaters are on because it's cold in Idaho or it's hot. So either AC or heat is on in the rooms, so it's comfortable. And then if I'm teaching that day, then it looks like me greeting all of the kids. Wherever I'm at, there's typically a horde of children, which is probably my favorite part of church. And then we will go to class and we just tell them about God. And then during the week, I actually am a homeschooling mom. And so I will do all my typical stuff with my kids and my family. And then in the evenings, I'll work on the ministry of, I actually write our own lesson plans from the Bible. So yeah, that's what I will try and do every night. But sometimes life happens and you just can't. I have 4 kids, and so we're a pretty busy and active family. Um, one of my kids is a special needs, so we're in a lot of therapy, so a lot of our time is eaten up with that. In our community, we try to join the events that the church puts on. Here in Twin Falls, we actually live in Buell, and so we aren't super plugged into there yet. We do some sports and stuff, but we've recently moved there, and we just haven't quite gotten into the community there. But with the church, pretty much any outing we try to join in if we can. Again, I have a special needs son, so it's not always doable depending on how big it is. But yeah, so sometimes we'll actually just come to church just to hang out. Some of the moms and I have gotten together on a random Saturday morning just because we needed coffee and God. And we'll just come and hang out, and the kids will go into our different classrooms. They'll do different arts and stuff, and we just kind of let them have a minute being kids, because half of childhood is just having fun. And so I'm a firm believer that wherever the kids are, there should be laughter. God made me to work with kids, and I knew it from a very young age. I actually don't like adults typically. Because, you can tell a 2-year-old no, and they typically get it. You could tell an adult no, and they don't get it. And so kids are I just speak their language, and they speak mine. And my favorite thing is watching the foundation getting laid and them stepping onto it. It's the greatest blessing to go from 0 through 6th grade and up, and watching that foundation get firmer and the pillars coming around and watching them choose to follow God. But my probably all-time favorite is watching my own kids come to Christ. I know I have 3 of the 4 who have verbally out loud said, and I'm like, and I'm now, I tell them that it's a daily choice. And so whenever they're choosing poorly, I'm like, are we making a good choice to follow God right now? Or are we making a choice to follow the world? Because we can't be of the world. So don't get warm. And so it's really exciting to watch in my own family, my own kids. When things get tough, it's the promise. It's the promise that God will never leave us or forsake us. He'll meet us in those valleys. There's been many years of tough. There's been many seasons of hard. Um, but knowing that when I show up and I give it my all, that God will bless it. He doesn't ask for perfection. He just asks us to show up and try. And so just the promise that he won't leave me in it, you know.
How do you deal with being overwhelmed when you're in your ministry or serving your family?
How do I deal with being overwhelmed when I'm in my ministry or serving my family? Um, have you ever thrown ice? Again, I have a special needs son, and he has some anger, and so sometimes we'll go outside and we'll throw ice, and we'll like scream when we throw it because it's just getting all the stuff out. And so I'm a big believer that you shouldn't just shove feelings down. I did that most of my life, and so as a Sunday school teacher, I am wanting the kids to express in a safe way, right? In a safe, not hurting, no one's getting harmed way. Um, but sometimes when I'm overstimulated, they're overstimulated, we need to go outside. We need to go outside and we need to move around. And that is okay because they are not meant to just sit and learn the Bible. They're meant to do the Bible. And so I typically always have a game to play. And sometimes we'll spend most of the day playing the game because we are overstimulated and overwhelmed, and we need to not be in a small room. So, oftentimes, if you were to come by the church, you'll see us outside with 20 kids playing what looks like tag, but actually we call it plagues. And in order to get tagged and like not get frozen, you have to name a plague, but it can't be a repeat of someone else's. Or, the 12 tribes of Israel or whatever lesson we're working on, we incorporate it into the game. And so when we're overwhelmed and overstimulated, I'll just outrun the children. So, or we'll go throw ice because we're learning the plagues and it hailed. So, yeah, we just do an activity. Ultimately, success is them knowing who God is. So at home, it's my kids choosing to follow God and having the hard conversations of, are you following the world or are you following God?
Mm.
You can't be both. Because I homeschool, I can have that conversation all day long, right? And so I can quickly like get to the heart of many things. I'm very blessed in that area. At church, success looks like asking the kids like a harder question and them knowing like, I'm trying to think of a, for instance, this last Sunday, we were in the book of Titus. We were in the older class, 3rd through 6th grade. And we decided that we were going to read the whole book of Titus. I've challenged the kids to read 10 books this year out of the Bible. And so I thought, I'm teaching, we're going to take one whole book and be like, look, guys, we did it. It's not as hard as we think it is. And they were a little bit rowdy. And so we're reading through Titus, and it was talking about focusing, following God, choosing the right path. And so I had them all standing up on chairs. And my husband, Travis, he was trying to entice them to get off the chairs. And I was like, no, you guys have to hold strong. Like, whatever he does, like, don't let them pull you into the world. And we got out some pretzels, and it happened to be one of the kids' like favorites. And he like bailed out. He's like, no, I'm having the pretzel. And so we gave him the pretzels. And all the other kids were like, that's not fair. And another kid goes, just because they get their reward doesn't mean ours won't be better. And I was like, that was a powerful statement. You are correct. Just because you see other things in the world getting the reward now doesn't mean that what God has for you is any less. In fact, the longer you wait and the longer you follow God, the bigger the reward, the better the blessing. So don't just bail out when you see the first reward. Don't follow the world when you see them getting blessed. It doesn't mean God's not going to bless you. It just means you have to hang on a little bit longer for that blessing. So then eventually all got off the chairs because I said they could. And then they all got the pretzels and they got like bigger handfuls, some out of spite, like I'm going to take more than him. But, to hear the kids in their own words without me pitching it to them, that's the biggest success stories. Seeing those little aha moments. And I have gotten to witness a couple kids give their lives to God. And that is super exciting. And I love watching it. But even more, I love watching the little foundation pieces. Because I know that's the work. That's the seeds. So